This picture that's showing now is the come and take it cannon that's at the museum in Gonzales, and it's a small cannon, it's a signal cannon, and it probably weighs in the neighborhood of about 140 pounds, and it's iron. And there is some good evidence that this is the come and take it cannon. I'm not going to get into that evidence because I want to present the Mexican side and the archival side. I'm going to introduce you to two gentlemen that started this whole thing, and this was Green DeWitt was the impresario of the DeWitt colony, and Ramon Musquiz. And Ramon Musquiz was the political chief in San Antonio, Bejar, at the time that this story starts. The story starts in January of 1831, and we have the actual document. I'm going to show you these documents because to me it means a lot more when you actually see the document than if I just tell you what's in the document. I don't want you to think that we made any of this stuff up. You can go find these documents if you want to. So January of 1831, Green DeWitt writes to Ramon Musquiz in Bejar, and he's basically going over a lot of stuff, but he's asking for a cannon. He would like a cannon for the defense of this village, and that's Gonzales. Interestingly enough, I came across at the bottom of the document, he said the cannon will be kept in good shape and it will be returned to that city, Bejar, as soon as requested. I think that's a very important thing. If you want it back, we'll send it back to you. So we don't have Musquiz's response to that. It may be in the archives. We did not find it, but we found a second letter from DeWitt to Musquiz in March of 1831. And this is, once again, the document. And when you look into the translation, it's obvious that DeWitt has been told that, yes, there is a cannon available, and he is sending a wagoneer, a freighter. DeWitt is sending one to Bejar to pick up the cannon. And this struck me as interesting. DeWitt said that this guy's going to pick up the cannon provided it's not too heavy for his wagon. Now keep in mind the come and take it cannon Gonzales weighs about 140 pounds, so I'm thinking that that would not be a major issue, was how big the wagon was. Now we have another character gets introduced, and this is the military commander in San Antonio, in Bejar, and his name was Elosua. This letter's from March of 1831, and Musquiz writes to the military commander there, and he says Green DeWitt wants a cannon, and he said, we have one here in the government house. It's made of bronze, and it's a 4 to a 6 pounder. Okay, he said, if you think it's best, we can send that cannon to him. And just to give you an idea, I was in Moscow about 2 years ago, and I'd already knew about this document, so I came upon some brass cannons that were left by Napoleon when he had to evacuate Moscow. And I found a 4 pounder and I found a 6 pounder. When they talk about a 4 pounder cannon, they're talking about one that shoots a 4 pound cannonball. A 6 pounder would shoot a 6 pound cannonball. But these are brass cannons, and you can see the 4 pounder was labeled as weighing 715 pounds, and the 6 pounder was 1,793 pounds. So these are pretty big cannons. I even found a 1 pounder cannon, and it was 315 pounds. And then there's, once again, Dr. Pat Wagner is one of the gentlemen that got a hold of the cannon. I've been told various stories about how he got it and everything like that. There are people in Gonzales that know a lot more than I do about that. But he did some work, some interesting work on it. I think part of it was with a scope that a doctor would use. They looked down inside it, but there was some evidence that this may well have been the Gonzales cannon, the small one. Found another document that's a response from Elosua to Musquiz, and it's a response just the same day that Musquiz asked him, should we give him this 4 or 6 pounder? And the military commander there writes him, he said, yeah, go ahead and send DeWitt that cannon, the one that you talked about at the government house. and he said, get a receipt, and you can word the receipt however you want to. So he wanted him to make sure to get a receipt for the cannon. Now, Musquiz writes Green DeWitt and tells him that they're going to send the cannon. And this is what Musquiz asks Green DeWitt to give him as a receipt. In other words, we don't have the receipt from Green DeWitt, but we have a document from Musquiz, the political commander in Bayhar, asking DeWitt for a receipt, and he wants it to say this. And he said in the receipt, he described it as a reinforced bronze cannon. So now we've actually stepped it up from either a 4-pounder or a 6-pounder to a reinforced one, which would mean it has a thicker tube so that it could fire a shot further. So now it's actually a bigger cannon because it's reinforced. And he also wants the receipt to say, I am obliged to return it as soon as the commanding general of the military of this department requests it. So now we have a second comment that it's supposed to go back to Bayhar if the military commander there wants it. We also have a receipt for this cannon, and this is from James Tumlinson, and Tumlinson gives a receipt when he picks it up. This is in March of 1831. He picks up and he calls it a bronze cannon. Remember, the Gonzales cannon is an iron cannon. So we know that the cannon was picked up, and we have the receipt that Tumlinson gave him. This is what it said. I received a bronze cannon, and this is in response to the request of Green DeWitt.